1,000 times better. So following the huge success of the Ping G425, very stable, straight hitting golf club, we've now got the new Ping G430 lineup. Really excited to hit these. You're going to get a full review in this video. We're going to hit all three models and provide you with some numbers and see if it is better than the 425, and if it is, it's going to be a cracker. So G430, we've got three models. As we've seen in the previous versions, we've got the Max, we've got the LST, and then we've got the SFT. So again, we're going to hit all three of those clubs in this video. So we're going to kick things off with the Max to start with. So I've got 9-degree head on this, and we've still got that movable tungsten weight in the back, so we can put it neutral, heel or toe for that draw or fade bias. We've got movable adjustability, which is staying exactly the same. That isn't changing, but we've got a very different look at the bottom of the golf club. We'll start with the bottom first. I know this is only sort of rack appeal really, and just maybe visuals. Obviously you won't see this in the playing position, but I quite like it. A little bit different. We've got a little bit of that yellow flashing in and around there. It's a typical big Ping looking driver, I would say, on the bottom of the golf club. And then obviously into the playing position, again, it's a Ping driver. We know that straight away. The turbulators are staying, whether you like them or not. That is obviously a personal thing. Some like little sort of shaping or a little bit of a detailed on the top and the back area of the golf club or the crown. But all in all, I think it's a decent looking driver. It's that matte finish again, black face, so again, it's very sort of stealthy look. Okay, just up that left-hand side a little bit there, but I tell you what, straight away there is a big difference between this and the 425. Huge difference on the sound, and I think many of you will be really pleased to sort of hear that, because that's probably one of the biggest feedback that I personally got through fittings, and I think Ping did as well, is the sound of the 425. It was loud, wasn't it? It was very sort of tinny. It performed fantastic, and many of you got out there, and whether you like the sound or you don't like the sound, obviously that's a personal thing, but it did put a couple of people off maybe buying it because of the sound. And that, well, let's hit some more, but that sounds 1,000 times better. Oh, that's a solid sound. Just a bit off the low part of the club face, but not bad ball speed there. And the spin's pretty good for that strike. And that's one bit of technology we're going to talk a little bit about in this video, of just what Ping are calling that spin consistency is what they're calling. So we've got like a more of a bulging in that bottom part of the club there, which is actually has a little bit less loft in the low part. So when you hit that low strike, like I've done there, it'll just sort of try and control the spin, because we know when we hit low in the face, it'll try and spin it a little bit higher with that gear effect. So that'll just try and control that spin and keep that ball going forward. That's a better shot, a bit straighter. Still felt a touch low, yeah, a little bit low. Typically sort of my miss there, but ball speed's pretty good for that low strike there. 164, launched not bad again. That spin's controlled, and a decent carry from that low hit. So really good spin control on those slightly low hits, which is good. So the other thing that just sort of jumped out at me when I looked at this out of the wrapper, the face looked quite shallow. Now looking at the tech that Ping have sent over, is it's actually only 0.1 of an inch shallower than the G425, but it does look a little considerably more actually. And the face thickness is now 6% thinner than the 425, so obviously trying to keep some or increase a little bit of that ball speed. And we've got that forged VFT, which stands for variable face thickness on this club face, so obviously that's just trying to create a little bit more flexing. Again, it's that ball speed. That was a better strike. It felt a better strike. It's a great flight, that. Again, I'm getting those feels I got with the 425, that real stable sort of hit. I mean, obviously that was middle, to be fair. 2.5 spin, 273, just short of 164, some decent numbers. Nice smash at 148. And I think I'm going to have to come back to this sound, because that is such a better sounding golf club. It's a more that typical sounding golf club, very much or getting away from that Ping sort of sound that we've maybe been used to for a few generations now. Obviously feedback has come back and they've done some real hard work. So how have they done that? So basically there's a couple of like ribs internally which are breaking up that frequency within inside the club head itself, which obviously is going to change that sound. Now sitting it down by that golf ball, it sits great, to be honest. You know, very like the 425 did. You know, this is obviously the Max head. It sits very nice and square. We've got some adjustability, so we can move that loft around, that lie around. There's a good high ball flight. A little bit of left to right shaping on that, but it's not too bad at all. good ball speed. Got a little bit more club head speed on that. Good ball speed, 166. Decent numbers. So we've got that 25 gram tungsten weight in the back, and again we can move that around as per maybe the strike location, the club face, to maximise that sort of ball speed. So 460cc head and loft availabilities on these as a 9, 10.5 and a 12, both right and left hand. So before we move on to the LST, which I'm really excited to sort of hit, we're just going to have a go with the SFT. So SFT stands for Straight Flight Technology. So this is very much a draw bias product. So ideal for you guys out there who maybe struggle with that slice, or for a right-handed golfer, that sort of miss to the right. And we saw some fantastic help with the G425 SFT last year. Now, a little bit of a different with this one now is we've got some movable weight. Before it was fixed in the heel. Now we can put it slightly heel or more heel. So we've got a draw and a draw plus. It's a 22 gram tungsten weight. So again, we've got that good bit of weight in the back of that club, and we can now have a little bit of adjustability, so we can really sort of make this a little bit more draw or a little bit of draw. Now they don't do a 9-degree head in the SFT, so this is a 10.5, so it's a bit too much loft for me. Does sit obviously a little bit more toed in than what we've just seen with the Max, naturally, as you're going to expect. We've got the neck sleeve as well, so again we can change the loft, move it around. I'm just going to leave it at 10.5 to be honest, because I just don't want to, obviously when you take the loft down, it'll just slightly reopen that club face again. So I want to just show it as it would do in that standard setting, which is typically probably where a lot of you guys would have it. Wow, yeah, that's going left. Now I have no issues hitting the ball left, but that one has gone left. Now I've got that set with that tungsten weight in the draw plus, so I've got this as built as big a left as I possibly can get it. So again, technology is the same, you know, the head shaping exactly the same, 460cc. Again, not as far left that one, but definitely up that left-hand side. Just starts a touch left, just tries to sort of have a little bit of right to left on it. Obviously, you'll see that spin just jump up a little bit more because I've got a little bit more loft on that. So this isn't going to be perfectly suited to me. Yeah, and they're definitely up that left-hand side. Okay, right, so finally moving on to the G430 LST, so low spin technology. This is the one I've been really sort of looking forward to. So a little bit more of a compact head now, we're down to a 440cc. But to be honest, when I put that in the playing position, it's a very sort of similar shape. It's not really shrunk in that I'd probably expect to sort of see from a 440. It's definitely a little bit more compact, so I think anybody who's looking for that slightly sort of more compact head will probably appeal to this drive a little bit more. Sits beautifully square, as you'd expect. Now this is a very different driver is what Ping are saying. We've got some different technology. We've got this carbon wrap on the top, so very noticeable difference of the crown of the club now. So we've got this whole sort of maybe back 2/3 is now carbon with the titanium front bit where the turbulators are, and it's a wrap, so it wraps around right across the crown, wraps around underneath into the toe and also into the heel. It's 8 layers of carbon. It's 0.028 of an inch in thickness, so obviously that's going to create some weight saving, and that's going to get repositioned deeper in the head in that CG for that lower spin, which is what this driver's mostly about. So really this is probably going to aim for the golfer who's trying to really get some spin down, maybe the golfer with a little bit more speed typically. Quite like the look of that with the difference of that front and the back. The carbon's a little bit lighter grey compared to the darker black of the front. Ooh, just working up that left-hand side a little bit there, a little bit high in that toe. That looks like that spin's really pulled off. Yeah, 1200 spin. So that's, again, you know, that's a bit of a high toe. We know that that part of the strike is going to pull spin off. And then when you've got a low spin drive, it's going to pull even more off into it. So you've always got to look, I would say, when you're into this driver, is where your misses are. Because if your spin gets too low, and that sort of did, you could see it pops up, but then it sort of really sort of dipped a little bit left on me. That's a good strike. Now, this is actually the heaviest head of the 3 models. This comes in at 208 grams. The Max is 206 grams, and the SFT is only 200. So the swing weight of this comes as standard as D4, the Max is D3, this SFT is C9. Definitely feel that weight in that head. It does feel a little bit, well, for me personally, I prefer the swing weight being around that D3 area of the Max. Just feels a little bit head heavy with this. Again, that's obviously more of a personal thing. It's getting that swing weight dialed in for you yourself. But again, we've got the same weight of 22 grams in this tungsten in the back, which again is movable. I've got this set as neutral, but you can put that in the fade and the draw setting. But a really nice compact head. Oh, just leaked a little bit. That was a decent strike there. Just leaked a little bit of that right side. Get over that bunker. Yeah, just sort of clearing that nicely. 272, decent spin there for that little bit of the cutty shape. I think for me, that just feels a little bit harder to hit, as you're probably going to expect with that slightly more compact head, weight CG being a little bit more forward than this. That's a cracker. That's the best one there. That was a good strike. Yeah, absolutely plumb middle on that strike, and there's definitely a little bit more of a forward flight on that. And didn't look as high on that ball flight. Good smash, decent sort of land angle. You see coming in 32, that's really going to hit the deck and release. I think obviously if you've got a little bit more speed, probably like myself here, and like I say, you're trying to get that spin down a little bit, I think you're just going to be a little bit better on that ball striking. Otherwise the Max, I would probably prefer to edge towards the Max, if I'm being honest, between those two drives. I'd like to have that little bit of forgiveness. The spin was decent with the Max for me. And obviously just a little bit more stability, a little bit more forgiveness. This just feels like I've just got to make sure I hit the middle of the club, so it's just putting that little bit of pressure on me in a way. That's good. Touch low, decent ball speed, good control that spin from a slightly low strike there, so that low spin technology obviously is doing its job. Just feels a little bit tougher to hit obviously than that Max. So if we quickly look at the dispersion rings there, so you can clearly see that orange of the SFT up that left hand side, that draw biased, clearly doing a job there. We see the white being a little bit tighter from right to left than the blue, and that was the Max in the white, the blue being the LST, and that's your carry. So if I flick this to total distance there, maybe with some run out, maybe just seeing the LST just getting it's pretty much the same, isn't it, really? As I go say, there's an odd one or two, maybe just creeping over the white, but pretty much the same between that Max and LST. I did prefer the Max, that tighter dispersion. Again, a little bit more of that it's a higher MOI head than it is with the LST, so clearly doing a job. Okay, and then when we look at the numbers there, so we can see club head speeds all around that sort of 111 mark. You can see ball speed just a little bit more with the Max edging up to that 164, 162.5, 162.7. Launch angles pretty similar, maybe a touch, just a couple of lower ones with the Max there that's just brought it down, but all pretty much the same. So obviously when we look at the spin numbers, you can see the Max 2.7 average, which I quite like. You know, it's not a bad number there. Maybe I'd like to see that touch lower potentially, but it's not a bad number that for me. I don't mind that too much. You see that spin 2.2, again, I don't mind that, but then look at the averages there. You see that's 1200. So if you get that missed toe strike, depending where your strike is, with that low spin head, that's where that spin can really sort of just plummet off a little bit. I mean, take that out, the others weren't too bad, to be fair, were they? So distance-wise, 267, you can see just short of 270 there, but then that little bit of tight dispersion with the Max doing a little bit of a better job for me. So excellent work from Ping yet again. This is going to be a big seller, I'm sure, and the sound of it is so much better. If you're put off by the sound, go and give this one a go. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Okay, appreciate watching the video. Do post comments down below. Plenty more Ping G430 videos coming your way, so do stay tuned.